Let's look at the issue of welfare and other things around the police force. Before you bring in 10,000, the ones that are there have issues of accommodation. They have issues of their take-home. They have issues of insurance, protection for their loved ones in case they lose their lives in the line of duty. Do you think all these things can be looked at before the new set is brought in?
It's a whole package. Recruiting the qualified people is one thing, but also the environment in which they work, they take home, whether it actually takes them home, and also the insurance, because when you are putting your life on the line of duty, you want to make sure that the people you left behind will be taken care of. And if you operate in an environment where colleagues who have fallen in the line of duty were not adequately taken care of, you will not be in a haste to put yourself in the harm's way. And that is what the job requires. Although I also do recognize that over the years, the police have come up with this insurance scheme that pays, I think, $500,000 naira to certain category officers who die in the line of duty. But $500,000 naira is about $2,000 and something dollars. It's not enough. It's not enough. It needs to be ramped up, and this is where we expect the government of President Buhari, who himself retired from the armed forces, to realize what these people are going through, and they need to put adequate welfare in place for them to go out there and do the work.
And you know, it's one thing to talk about community policing, how well intended they may be. But what about the community buying in and then volunteering information to the police? Because now, of course, you know the mindset of many towards the police currently.
Well, the police have addressed these issues over again, and I tend to
is there any such thing as adequately addressed?
No, the fact is that when you are giving information to the police, they give you the right channel to give it. That's why every police officer from DPO, commissioner, gave out their numbers. So if you go down the street and you see a police officer and you hand out such information, it might be compromised. But you have channels that you give it, and then they are sure that it will be taken in confidence. But again, perception is the last thing to change in a change process.
Because for those people,
still have that
perception is their own reality.
Yeah.
Just ask anyone on the street. So
yeah, it's also something that takes time to be addressed. And perception, also what we need to bear in mind whenever we're talking about the police is that police is an agent of government, it's an agency of government. Where people have perception, wrong perception about the government, it filters down to all the agencies that are working under that government. So some of the things people say or the perceptions they have of the police may actually be perceptions about the government in power. And we are hearing what is happening or what happened in the previous government, which created some of these perceptions. So police, being the face, the public face of the government, takes the flats in some of this that actually goes right.
And there are different aspects now when you talk about the police, because no matter how good the experience many may have had with the police, you have others who, the people they relate with at the police is those they meet on the streets on a regular basis. And the experience they've had, it's not good. Because maybe one thing this government is trying to do is to ensure that the policies are populist and ensure that people are better for it. Should they do something about that? Because on a regular basis, the policeman that they meet at, I mean, Nato talks about one decent policeman who says, could you please come out and please do this? But many others say, if I slack, would you leave? That kind of
no, you're right.
opposite.
I mean, we all form our impression by the first person we encounter whenever we go into an organization, be it reception, is the way you're treated, you know, gives you an impression of the whole organization. But also, to be fair to the police, if you look at in the last 3-4 years, where they withdraw policemen on checkpoints, all these permanent checkpoints, permanent roadblocks. That is in a bid to address this issue and replacing it with a periodic nipping point or whenever they have information about a particular area, they will be there for a few hours. They are no longer there on permanent basis. This is an effort to address this issue that Once you keep those people permanently there, they will do things that will color the perceptions of members of the public. But again, it's something they have to keep working on, because there is still a huge problem out there.
It's a symbiotic relationship. As they try to work on theirs, is there anything that the public needs to work on concerning perception they have of the police?
Well, I think, when I was working in Clean Foundation, there was a flyer that was published about 10, 15 years ago that was very popular. It's titled, "What to Do When Stopped by the Police." Because a lot of people, when they are stopped by the police, have this false assumption that it's all for extortion. Forgetting that the police, especially those you find on checkpoints, on roadblocks, work on communication, on information they receive. It might well be the car you're driving, the way you look, fit a description they have received about somebody who is wanted for something passing through there. So when they stop you and you have that wrong assumption, it also automatically generates negative response from them, because these are people who, for all you know, have been there for overnight work or left their house early in the morning, all in a bid to, make the rest of us secure, and you are responding to them in a manner that is harsh, and then they respond in a manner that is similar, and then you go away with that impression that they are all there to stop you, which is why police have come up with police all over the world, not just in Nigeria, by creating periodic platforms where they interact with members of the public outside non-law enforcement situation to sort of improve this situation. So members of the public also need education to realize that the police officer you see on checkpoint or roadblock is not just out there to collect money from you.
Isn't the police supposed to not react maybe violently or in an unfriendly way, even when members of the public provoke them as part of their training?
Yeah, it's part of the discipline of the police that you are expected to be patient in doing your work, be disciplined, and not be provoked to anger and all that. But we're dealing with human beings. That's why you have public complaint system within the police, knowing that once in a while you will have that bad apple there, or a few of them, who will go against the rule, and then that they need to be reported so that the system can take care of them. And to be fair to them, on average, the police, Nigerian police force, dismiss about 400 to 500 police officers every year for various acts of misconduct.
And no replacement.
No replacement, which is why they linger, and then you have these massive intake requirements.
But again, we're not done with perception. Sorry, Nyota. Perception comes with action for you to change that kind of perception. Action from both sides. Now, let's look at the police, for instance. A lot of people know how to read body language. There's a way you stop, you pull someone up, and I know this is not for the legal duty that you're meant to do. And so let's look at actions. What kind of actions can you possibly be asking the police or the government to put in place that can show people that truly, well, I need to change my perception that these people are truly out there for my own safety and security?
Well, the critical one in the literature is actually contact. The more contact you have with the police, the more likely that you are going to have a negative perception of them.
Why not positive?
No, because when you have more police officers on the street, like we're going to recruit more numbers now, what it means is that even minor crimes or some public misbehaviors that would ordinarily be overlooked in the past, with more police officers, you will have more enforcement. And police works with discretion. When they have less men, they tend to prioritize the crime that they go after. But when they have more men, you have more enforcement. So with that comes with more contact. So, and what the police have done is remove these checkpoints, especially the permanent ones, which is one critical way of addressing it. If you look at
now they have motorized ones.
They have motorized ones that are less likely to come in more
Mr. Chukwuma, it's a huge task. What comes to mind is that even children, they have wrong perception of the police. You know, sometimes I've been, you know, I had a discussion with a police officer. It was a friendly discussion, and my baby was shocked. Daddy, you're talking to a policeman. You know, you could see. And sometimes when people say to their children, I'll call the police for you in Nigeria. So I think this perception is really a negative one. How can we change it?
But the question is, how did your child get that perception about? It's inherited perception.
That's what I'm saying. Because in schools, that's what I'm settling off from the house, because no one has told them anything of that nature. So how come that when they go out, maybe they mix with their peer groups and all that stuff, what they hear about the police is something that is negative. Someone is going to threaten you. He or she tells a child, I'll call in the police for a child.
Because the public media is suffused with more negative information about the police than the positive ones. The positive ones are less likely to make the headlines. And our children read all this. They have more mechanism now for receiving public information. We are, you know, living in an age of information revolution. So all those things get internalized, and when they are expressing it, you'll be amazed at, you know, what our children know about some of this.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back and just take your comments just in a moment. Don't go away.